Michelle Williams has two Emmy nominations this year, one for acting and one for producing Fosse Verdon. And before we get started, Michelle, congratulations this weekend. You got the TCA Award for Best Dramatic Performance of the Year. What was that moment like, accepting in front of all those TV critics?
It was really exciting. I can't lie to you. I was excited. I was super happy, super honored, and my daughter was most excited that it was a category that combined men and women as equal players, and so that was very unusual.
The other thing about that is they've been doing this 23 years now, I believe, and they don't have a limited series performance category. So you were in with the dramatic series performers, and only three of you have ever done that. You and Paul Giamatti and Sarah Paulson.
Oh, really?
Well, several have been nominated, but you're the third person to actually win for strictly doing a limited series there.
Oh, I didn't know that. I'm even more thrilled and honored. It was really, I have to say, it's very special to me.
We also have you nominated at the Gold Derby Awards. That's a couple of thousand people around the world voting, and they're all voting now. And so we'll know the results of that right before the Emmys.
Oh boy, thanks guys, exciting.
Now tell me on Gwen Verdon, when you were first thinking about taking the role, it's a lot of emotional scenes. Of course, you have the dancing, you have the singing. Which of those three made you the most nervous?
It really wasn't nervous. It was excitement to be able to, it felt like not only has like the last sort of decade sort of been leading up to this, starting by doing Marilyn, so playing somebody who was a real person, then doing cabaret on Broadway, so singing and dancing. But really my whole life, like since I was a child, I started taking dance lessons when I was a kid, tap dance lessons when I was a kid. And that came in handy on this job. So it felt like, and the first thing that I ever did as a child was sing and dance. The first thing that I was ever interested in doing was musicals. I love singing and dancing. It makes me happy. It just like brings joy to me. And so to be able to combine all of these things that I love doing and have worked at pretty much my entire life felt so exciting.
Which of all the dance numbers that you did here, or even the rehearsal scenes, was the most difficult?
They were all difficult for different reasons. Like Who's Got the Pain was maybe the most athletic dance. Both Reached for the Gun was interesting because it had to display, it had to be technically still perfect because she was a great dancer, but it had to display where she was having difficulty or that she was getting older or that things hurt, but without her tripping over her feet or making a fool of herself because she was Gwen Verdon. And then the dance that we did for MC Gwen in episode 7, when she does Razzle Dazzle, was really interesting because it was like kind of creating a whole new character. Who is this person? Like she's Gwen, but she's not really Gwen because it's outside of time and space. She's existing in a black box of sorts and she's picking up a rose. So that's not Gwen. So who is that? So that was really fun. And also we didn't have a lot of time. So that one, we really worked nights and weekends. By the time we got the script for episode 7, we were filming episodes 5 and 6. And so we would go work on that on Saturday and Sunday or after we wrapped during the week.
And you couldn't have been in better hands with Thomas Kail, right?
Absolutely not. The guy there's nothing he can't do. And also he has the most positive energy of maybe anyone that I've ever met. And by the end of the show, our entire cast and crew of 150 people would have jumped off a cliff for him or like gotten his name tattooed on their foreheads. We all just were devoted to him.
And tell us about Sam Rockwell. Did you know him at all before this? Because I'm guessing you are quite intimately acquainted now that you've done a 7-part series.
Yeah, we definitely are. I think there's a lot of love between me and Sam. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that we love each other. We're like brother and sister. He I'd been a huge fan of his, and I'd seen stuff that he'd done on Broadway, and I just thought, how does that guy do what he does? I can't wait to get inside and work with him. And what I found in the work is, I don't know if I've ever had a scene partner that I've loved more than Sam. He never lies. He never showcases. He never displays. He never tricks. He's completely, he believes, it's very easy to believe that you are who you think you are and that he is who he says he is as scene partners in a scene, because he's like, the truth is just coming out of him. And he's a good man and a good friend, and he's funny and he's hardworking, and he's just like an all-around pleasure to be around. So it's nice when you have a natural affection for the person that you're going to spend that much time with.
I think I first saw him close to 20 years ago, and that was that Confessions of a Dangerous Mind.
Yeah.
Ever since then, anything I would see him in, I would think, what is he doing here? That every role, even if it was not the greatest project in the world, he would always make it interesting. Did you find that being opposite him?
He's just like Quicksilver, you know, he's just like lightning in a bottle. You just can't quite catch it. Like, what's happening? What is he doing that's so different and so special? And a lot of that, you know, a lot of that is a skill set and something that he's honed. And a lot of it is him. He's just sort of magical to be around.
There was one moment in this, and I think it was early, where all he has to do is pick up the phone and call somebody, and he made that so compelling. I could not believe that you could pick up a phone and make that so compelling.
He's gifted, man. He's just gifted. Like, the guy's he's just got it.
Well, of course you are too. And I want to know, you know, Gwen Verdon sadly passed away in 2000. If she had been around and you were working on this project, was there a question you wish you could have asked her?
I mean, so much. We never would have gotten any work done because I would still be asking her questions. So in some ways, well, what was amazing is that we had Nicole there, her daughter. So if I did have questions, you know, I could really go straight to a reliable source.
A couple of other people. One other person I wanted to ask you about, Lin Manuel Miranda, is an executive producer. He has a little bit of a cameo in here. What's it like working in a room with him?
You have to put your inner fan girl to the side. And but he's so great because he's also he and Tommy are really cut of a similar cloth. They're both such energetic, outgoing, positive, friendly, warm, loving men that they, you know, as much as you like esteem them, they make you so comfortable that they become incredibly relatable.
I've interviewed him, I think, about 3 times now, and he always makes you feel like a buddy that he's known forever.
He's the best. He's like truly, truly the best. And it's all very genuine. Yeah. And he doesn't mind when you tell him how much you love Hamilton. You're like, he's not like over it or like, oh, whatever. He's a very
part of every day is him trying to track down tickets for somebody, I'm sure.
I cannot even imagine what that would be like.
One episode I wanted to ask you about in this project that was not the flashier of the episodes in terms of singing and dancing was the one at the beach house. As I guess sort of a Bible episode in a way, where basically the whole thing is set there, and all you know, so many of you cast members. That to me is one of the hardest things to pull off on TV or film, is something like that where all that energy is in basically one big room. Can you just talk about that episode and shooting that?
Yeah, well, you know, what I realized during cabaret is that sometimes it's like a real relief when you get to the song and dance, this thing takes over, you know, and the audience is transported by a melody and they're visually transported. And that when you're just in the scene work, you have to find a way to make the scenes sing. So that to find what their shape is and what their emotional life is, because the songs and the dance, they really dictate it to you where the emotional life is. There's a lot of interpretation in singing and dancing, of course, and like there's some people who are so extraordinary. Like I think about Jesse Mueller, the Broadway actress, and how incredibly expressive and how much storytelling she does with her, how much storytelling she's capable of doing with her voice. It's like her and Annalee Ashford. I just love those two performers so much. But when you're in the straight scene work, you have to find where the music of it is and where it's ascending, where it's descending. But that's really, that's kind of like the meat and potatoes of what I do, of the kind of work that I've been doing, these sort of character dramas that I've been making my way with for 20 years or something. So an opportunity to do just that, to sort of be in this small space with these really talented actors is, it's my own personal dream come true.
And you had to be thrilled, speaking of that episode and the future episodes after that, Margaret Qualley getting in her first Emmy nomination at such a young age, and such a nice way to, for us to really see her and start a career.
Absolutely. And she's also just a deeply lovely human being. I mean, what a great person, what a kind person, what a generous, sweet, easy to talk. I mean, she's practically angelic, but also like devilish and just great. I couldn't love her more.
She brought both of those qualities to that character.
Yeah.
We're an awards website, so I wanted to ask a couple of awards-related questions. Like you said, you've been doing this a little over 20 years now. What was your first big award show that you went to?
Probably the Oscars.
Was it? They didn't have you presenting at the Emmys when you were on Dawson's or something like that?
Never presented. I don't think.
Really?
No, it makes me nervous.
You've been asked, but you've turned it down.
Oh, you know what? That's not true. I presented once at the SAG Awards, and I was like, never again. That's too stressful. So yeah, I think the Oscars, maybe.
Okay. Oh, the first time you were nominated?
Yeah.
Okay. I'd love to see you and Sam together on the Emmys presenting something. That would be fun.
I don't know what we'll do. I gotta go talk to him, see what he wants to do.
What was your first Oscar experience like as a nominee?
It was very special. It was very, very special.
Do you remember any particular moment from that night, or somebody you met, or something that reminds you of that?
No, honestly, kind of like the pictures. The pictures have kind of replaced the memories in a way.
What about you have one Tony nomination too? Did that feel different at all than the Oscar nomination?
It did, because that job was so demanding and difficult, and so that nomination meant a great deal to me, because the work was so difficult, so satisfying, so personal, and so to be acknowledged in that way, I feel very grateful and very attached to that little piece of paper.
When I've talked to people like Lin and others on Broadway, Jeff Daniels, who you obviously know very well, they always talk about the Tony night being everybody's working within such a confined community that it feels like a big family affair, a family reunion almost.
It does. And you know that you're of a similar breed. One of the things that I really love about Fosse Verdon is that it really celebrates show people, and how relentless you have to be a Broadway singer, dancer, actor, because the lifestyle is really penalizing. To work 6 days a week, to do 8 shows 6 days a week demands a kind of dedication and aliveness that is draining and exhausting. But it's also like a very beautiful, I'm not complaining about it, it's a very beautiful way to live, and full of wonderful people. But it demands pretty much everything from you. So to make it into that room, that Tony room, you know how hard everybody worked to get there.
And those awards from the Broadway community, the Tonys for Gwen, meant so much to her, didn't they?
it's amazing. She won 4 Tonys in her lifetime.
And it's brought up within the project where, you know, that gets you more work. That brings you back to the fold. Exactly. And means so much from that standpoint too.
Yeah, from that standpoint, it's huge. You know, that's really one of the best things that the award can bring you, is the opportunity for more work, which is the thing that feeds your, you know, economically feeds your life and creatively feeds your soul. So that kind of recognition really, truly has a demonstrative effect on your ability to go forward.
One last question. We're going back to the Oscars for a second. Whenever I've got an Oscar voter on, I like to ask, you don't have to give away who you voted for, but just what's that process like for you, and how do you go about choosing, especially in the acting categories, what kind of work appeals to you?
I think you never really know until you see the thing. You know, you watch it, and like you never really know what to expect until you see it. Like I just watched Gloria Bell when I was on the airplane, and I just cannot stop talking to Julie about it. We're on the press day here for after the wedding, and I lost my mind for Gloria Bell. I just thought it was so subtle but so powerful at the same time, and so I was just asking her all kinds of stuff about it. So I think you just have to watch the movie and see what you think.
Is there a performance when you were growing up, especially in film, that you were just mesmerized by it and maybe even made you want to be an actress?
First thing really that just popped into mind, and maybe it's because we're talking about Julie, was watching P.T. Anderson's work and watching Hard 8 and watching Magnolia and watching Boogie Nights. I was really affected by his filmmaking, and by Sarah Polley's work when I was young. I was so moved. That like completely blew my mind, and expanded what I understood acting was or cinema was, and those things were really seminal for me.
Well, Michelle, thank you so much. It was my favorite performance that anybody gave in a comedy or a drama or a movie or anything from this past 12 months. That's why when they said, you know, would you like to talk to her today? And I said, absolutely. That I can't imagine the work involved in putting that whole thing together with Fosse Verdon from a production standpoint and acting.
It was absolutely mammoth, you know, and really, but the thing that I would say more than anything is like, it's everybody's love. And it really came from, I always think after that experience of Fosse Verdon, I realized everything comes from the top. Everything comes from the top. You can have the best people, like the hardest working people who are sort of on the ground, but if they aren't supported and treated well, they don't really get to shine and to flourish. And Tommy Kail was our leader, and he treated everybody with so much respect and good faith and positivity that every single day people came excited to work to bring their best because they were so appreciated and valued by the person who was at the helm of this thing. And that's how I felt, was like it was just love. Like everything that I did was love. Every single, and then you never give up either, because it's so much work. I mean, I had no idea how difficult it would be to do this show, or like the kind of, like it's just such deep practice. You do so many scenes and you can never give up. Every single moment of every single take of every single scene, you are just relentless, and you apply yourself over and over each time as if you're like just beginning. It's brand new. You never give up on any moment or any take or any scene. You're constantly bringing your best to bear, because the person who's leading you is showing you his best and is believing that you can offer him the best. And so you just do it. So it was a very exciting job to work on, and I loved it and I miss it. So I'm glad that it reached you. So thank you. Thank you.
And now it's brought the whole team to the Emmy Awards in a few weeks.
I know, it's so exciting. I'm so happy for everybody. Yeah.
You'll have a great time there. Hope to see you on the red carpet, and thank you so much for today.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it.